are live poppin'. Happy Monday, y'all. We're talking about QuickBooks Online again, because we're talking about QuickBooks Online every day, right? We're talking about why QuickBooks is so stressful. We're talking about why our bookkeeping is so hard to keep up with. Talking about why we procrastinate on bookkeeping, right? Drop in, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you like my headband. I made it yesterday. Super face. And that super face. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. And that super face. Okay, so for my folks that have been avoiding doing their bookkeeping for weeks or maybe even months, this live is for you. My page is all about you, my friend, because when we're avoiding our bookkeeping, it just tends to get worse. When we are not keeping up with our bookkeeping because we're stressed and anxious and overwhelmed with it, guess what? That doesn't make it any better. That doesn't get it done, right? We need to talk about that stress management first. We need to talk about that anxiety and that overwhelm first, okay? And bookkeeping, like I have said many times, is a skill that you can learn how to do. It is about skill development. And there have been other things in your life that you learned how to do consistently, correctly, right? Maybe things that were overwhelming at first, but now we're good. You know how to do those things. You have those skills. Yes! Thoughts on the new UI that just came out? So Caroline, are you talking about the AI feature in the QuickBooks Online, or have they changed up the user interface once again? I just did my recertification for my QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor deal, and they didn't say anything about being new, any sort of new UI user interface. So I actually did a video on the AI thing because I do not like that they just added that, and really they're not doing anything different. It has not actually changed in any material way. The way that the bank feed looks now, where you connect your bank accounts to QuickBooks Online, it looks different, but it has not materially changed. It has not actually changed any of the features or made it easier. It's doing the exact same thing that it was doing before. They are using this as a marketing thing to say, like, ooh, we have AI now and things can be so automated. There were plenty of automations in QuickBooks Online that we've had for years. There are no changes in the features other than what it looks like, okay? So that's my thoughts on that. I think QuickBooks is being shady and just, you know, using buzzwords that are kind of in the pop culture lexicon right now. And they're doing that to get people to pay them more money, right? And to get excited about the product. And, oh, QuickBooks is on the front line of innovation and da-da-da-da. No, that's not the case in my opinion. I have been using QuickBooks Online for 11 years. It has really not changed that much in those 11 years. They move things around, they make things look different, of course. Every year there's always something new. They just raised their prices again, which they pretty much have been doing consistently every year. Like, that's just how they roll. But nothing has really changed. And that is why the courses that I offer, the classes that I offer, the way that I train my clients on QuickBooks Online and train them on bookkeeping, it doesn't really change. Do I think that AI could help with bookkeeping anyways? I think AI could be extremely useful for a lot of different industries. But like I said, the automations that we had already in QuickBooks were working really well. They were really supporting, you know, getting things to kind of happen automatically in your bookkeeping. I'm talking about things like the bank rules. I'm talking about the email forwarding and the receipt management tools. They were already scanning receipts and bills and invoices for you. They are just calling it AI now. And yeah, maybe they have like a different model, but they were doing the same thing before. So again, I think this is really just a marketing thing. I do think that AI could be extremely helpful, but AI as a whole right now, is using up a lot of resources. It's using up, it's poisoning water and air. They are building these AI centers next to poor, impoverished Black and brown communities in the United States and obviously globally. And they are ruining the environment because they believe that people in those communities will not get up and fight back, that they don't have the capacity to get up and fight back. So AI overall is not really going in a direction that I like. I think it is feeding more into the white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalistic bullshit that we're already living in. Like, that system that we're already living in is awful and it's exploitative, and AI is just like turning up the volume on that. I think that any piece of technology is a tool or a resource that we can use to make our lives better, make things more accessible. Obviously, there was a post by a disability advocate that I reposted, so you can check my reposts on my page, but she's a wheelchair user. She makes videos about disability and accessibility, and she was like talking about how many things in our daily life, including like texting, voice to text and text to speech, all of that kind of stuff, like the microwave, like just there were so many things that were originally created to make life more accessible for disabled people that it's just like in all of our lives right now, right? And I think AI is just another one of those kind of tools or pieces of technology that can be used to make our lives easier, that can make people's lives better, if it's used responsibly. And by responsibly, I mean like we need to consider what kind of resources it's using up. Whenever there are people that are going hungry, there are people that don't have clean water. In the city that I live in, we are constantly failing our water tests for our public utilities. Our power in this area, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but like it goes out anytime the wind fucking blows. Okay, we could be using technology and creating utilities and resources that are accessible for everybody and either low cost or just fucking free. Like, it's crazy that we have to pay for water whenever it's just an abundant renewable resource on the planet. AI is using up a lot of these resources and it's not putting out anything good because AI, like the ChatGPT kind of models, are only as good as their user input, and people are putting a lot of junk into AI. Okay, so those models are being shaped by all the crap that people put into them all the time. I'm sure the QuickBooks AI model is probably the same thing, but the automations that I teach, the skills that I teach people how to do when it comes to bookkeeping, the procedures, the things that we work on setting up in their business systems, we've been doing for a long time. So it is not anything new. I'm 100% on board for automations. I'm 100% on board for making our lives easier, using technology to create more efficient systems. I don't want to be working all the time. I know y'all don't want to be working all the time, but we have to be very careful and we have to insist on this technology being used in an appropriate and safe way. Gigi asked, can I use AI on desktop? I'm not sure if they have AI on desktop. I know that this is something that they said they rolled out on QuickBooks Online. I did a video about this talking about how it's not really anything new. Excuse me, the bank feed in QuickBooks Online was where we could import your bank transactions from your bank accounts, your credit cards, anything that you want to connect to QuickBooks Online for your business. QuickBooks Online imports transactions, and you have to be the one to tell it like what to do with these transactions, right? So you can do that individually. You can go line by line, transaction by transaction. That takes a long time. That's honestly exhausting, and it is not efficient, okay? Because many business owners do the same kind of thing each month. We have the same kind of expenses each month, right? We're like creatures. I'm a creature of habit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm doing pretty much the same thing consistently, rinse and repeat over and over again. A lot of my business expenses are repeat expenses, so I've set up automations so that I'm not having to deal with all that information consistently. Caroline says, how do you like to set up your dashboard? Do you use it a lot? I don't use my dashboard at all. I think I don't really like the dashboard. I know it's very customizable, but I don't I've never really used it. The pages in QuickBooks Online that I use consistently, I'm in my bank transactions feed, making sure pretty much every day that I'm accepting bank transactions as they get imported. And I also go to my sales tab. I want to make sure that if I have open invoices that they're getting paid, that reminders are going out to my clients. I like to look at, you know, the last 30 days, like how much money I've had deposited. I look at my financial reports once a month, but I really like to do a deep dive on my financial reports every quarter, and especially halfway through the year. By the way, y'all, that is going to be next month's lesson. So if you don't know already, I have a private online community, and that is linked in my profile. So make sure you are going to my profile and setting up your free account in my community. It is in my link tree. The tutorial for next month's lesson is going to be how to do that mid-year review, how to actually look at your reports in QuickBooks and read your numbers and do a mid-year checkup review. When you purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit this month, I'm giving you that mid-year review checkup workbook for free. Okay, so Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, let's talk about it real quick, because no, I don't like using the dashboard, but I do talk about my favorite places in QuickBooks Online inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. This is a digital course that comes with the spiral-bound workbook. You get instant access to the course. You get lifetime access to the course as soon as you purchase it, and this is linked in my shop. I teach you my favorite places to hang out in QuickBooks Online. I show you some cool automations, not the AI crap that they're trying to push now. These are the automations that have always been there in QuickBooks Online. I show you how to read your reports, how to reconcile. How many times have y'all tried to reconcile in QuickBooks Online and you get stuck and your accounts are not in balance? That's very frustrating, right? It can be really overwhelming when your bank balance is wrong, you can't get it to reconcile, you don't know how to treat that. I have my 5 troubleshooting steps to reconciling in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. There's always so many dates to track. I wish QuickBooks had a calendar. This plus automations would be cool. Okay, so if you are somebody who has like regular recurring invoices, regular recurring expenses, they have a tool called the Cash Planner. And this is not really a dashboard necessarily, but I used the Cash Planner for a long time. I created a new, or I had to add multi-currency to my QuickBooks Online, which did away with the Cash Planner. But the Cash Planner is helpful to see what your cash flow has been like in the past, and it gives you a little bit of a forecast and a prediction of what is going to happen over the next couple of months based on your recurring income and your recurring expenses. So once we have those automations set up, Caroline, where we have recurring transactions, we have recurring invoices maybe, or if you have predictions about your sales each month, you can put that into this cash planner and see what your cash flow is going to look like. So that may be something that is interesting for y'all to check out. I've done a video, one of my astrology videos, where I go into which QuickBooks Online feature you are based on your astrology. I think the one on Sagittarius is about the cash flow planner. So I show you kind of how that works. I can't remember if I've done a video in the community about the cash flow planner, but I can totally do that in the future. The reason I brought up the community is because when you purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit right now, during this month, you'll get that mid-year review checkup, and then that will be our lesson at the very beginning of August, okay? So every month in the community, I am posting a new content tutorial in QuickBooks Online, some sort of bookkeeping concept or a tutorial about using a particular feature in there. August's lesson is going to be about how to do a mid-year review in your business. So you're going to want to have the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, which comes with a 30-day trial of the community. And when you purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, you get access to the community so you can see August's tutorial when it goes live. And you will get the additional bonus workbook that is the mid-year review checkup, okay? Everybody who owns a business this time of year, July and August, needs to be doing a mid-year review, okay? So that's why I'm offering it as a bonus to the people that purchased the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit in the month of July. It would be cool to track that plus payroll plus tax deadlines in one place. Yes, and so it does not actually track payroll if you even have employees set up on like auto payroll, which is kind of disappointing. But if you have like one employee like yourself and you're on a salary, so you get paid the same amount every time, you could put that into the cash planner because it allows you to add expected income and expenses. So in the cash planner, you could say, okay, I pay myself once a month, or I pay myself once a week, and you would put in the total payroll cost, including the taxes, okay? When you have employees on payroll, it's probably a good idea to turn on those auto payroll taxes so that QuickBooks just takes the total payroll amount when you run it. So you can put into the cash planner, you can say my weekly payroll is this, and just put the total payroll cost, including the payroll taxes that are going to be withdrawn, and set that up as a recurring expense in your cash planner. That will allow you to kind of track and see into the future a little bit. I think it's like 3 months into the future that it shows you, and it's like, okay, like, you know, you'll be able to see like, where do I dip below my threshold? You can set a threshold of like how much cash you want in your business at all times, including checking and savings, right? So the cash planner has a lot of cool features in it. I wish that I had not turned on multi-currency in QuickBooks because that means that I don't have access to the cash planner. I'm probably gonna wait until the end of the year and see if I can switch over to a new QuickBooks Online company for my business and get that cash planner back, because it was really helpful and really useful, especially for small business owners when your cash flow is not steady, and that's the case for many businesses in the first 3 to 5 years. You do not have steady cash flow. It's very unpredictable, right? Having that cash flow planner in QuickBooks after you have put in all your bookkeeping, you've got your bookkeeping set up, like I show you how to do in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. Just different QuickBooks Online company. So every different business that you have needs to have a separate QuickBooks Online company. So I was saying for my firm, I turned on the multi-currency feature because I have a client in Canada, and then I ended up setting up their payment through Stripe. So I should not have turned on multi-currency. Once you turn it on, you cannot turn it off. And if you have multi-currency turned on, you do not have access to the cash planner in QuickBooks Online. So I was saying maybe at the end of the year, I will switch over and set up a new QuickBooks Online company so that I can get that cash planner back and just move my bookkeeping to the new company. We're super complicated 2 company accounts. I didn't even know about the cash planner. Okay, so if it's one company though, and you just have 2 checking accounts, right? That's gonna be under one QuickBooks Online company. It's if you have 2 separate, like LLCs, 2 separate EINs, that's when you need to have 2 separate QuickBooks Online companies, okay? Super important that you track those separately, right? Along with bookkeeping, how do you manage your work? Like keeping track of deadlines, to-dos, etc. Great question. Carolyn, I have a freebie linked in my bio. It is called Automation Alchemy, and this is all of the software that I use for my business, like all of it. And I, in that guide, walk you through each type of software that I use. I use Jetpack Workflow. That is an app that is on a browser. It's called Jetpack Workflow. And again, this is in my profile, and under my link tree, there is a freebie called Automation Alchemy. So you can download that freebie today. The to-dos, the deadlines, the keeping track of the bookkeeping work that I do for my own business, and the work that I do for my clients, it's called Jetpack Workflow. And I don't think I have an affiliate link for that one. 2 LLCs. I am available to consult Jess. Like I was just telling Carolyn, click on the profile picture up here and then go to my profile, and you're gonna click on my link tree. It's right underneath my bio where it says like QuickBooks, all that. click on my link tree, and there is a button to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me for new clients. Carolyn, do you ever wish all the software was in one? I have so many apps and it's tough sometimes. Yes and no, because sometimes having all of your like business eggs in one basket is not helpful. I love Jetpack Workflow. It does link up with QuickBooks Online, so you can like sync your clients in QuickBooks to your Jetpack, track projects, track hours for them, you know, do billable time and all that. If you're a QuickBooks Online accountant, you get access to QuickBooks Time. And they do have like some to-do tasks. Thank you so much, Kate, for the follow. They do have like a task or to-do tracker in QuickBooks Online, but I have never really used it. I think it's very basic, like just not super... Jetpack is awesome. I just will say that. Like when I started my own business, I had been using Jetpack at my previous job. And when I started my own business, I originally did not get Jetpack because it costs, like it's a software fee, right? And I was like, oh, I can just keep track of my to-dos by myself. When I tell you, a couple months in, I was like literally crying. I was so stressed that I was like, I'm just gonna fucking pay for Jetpack because I'm like losing my mind. Like that is literally, if I have nothing else, I will have Jetpack Workflow. Like they save my ass, okay? Asana is great too. Styles by Gabrielle. Thank you so much for joining in. Do you wish there were certain integrations? Honestly, the less we integrate to QuickBooks, the better, in my opinion. It's always fraught with issues whenever my clients are like connecting their PayPal, connecting their Shopify, connecting this, connecting that. And I'm just like, QuickBooks is going to burn up. No, it's not. But you have to be so careful with integrations to make sure that you are mapping this software stuff to the correct stuff in QuickBooks Online. You have to make sure that those mappings are like tight, okay? Because if you don't, you'll wind up with like uncategorized income and uncategorized expenses and da-da-da. We never have expenses in uncategorized, right? I teach all about this in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, like how to clean up, how to categorize your bookkeeping, because nothing should be in uncategorized. Nothing should be in miscellaneous, okay? You hear me? I better not log into your QuickBooks and see miscellaneous anything or uncategorized anything. Those clearing accounts, those clearing accounts on those integrations can be crazy. Yes. Okay, so this is why PayPal drives me up the wall. Have you ever thought about using other platforms like FreshBooks or Zoho Books, which I've never heard about Zoho before? I know about Xero, Xero, which I think is more popular in like the UK than it is in the United States. I have had clients that have used FreshBooks before. At the time, accountants could not reconcile their clients' bookkeeping in FreshBooks, which is crazy because in order to do bookkeeping, step 2 of bookkeeping, there's 3 steps to doing bookkeeping. Data entry, step 2 is reconciling. If you are not reconciling, you are not doing bookkeeping, okay? So if I have a client using FreshBooks and I can't reconcile their books, then I cannot do their bookkeeping, right? If they want me to do their bookkeeping, that includes reconciling. And let me just say this, because I've had people come to me and they're like, oh, I paid this bookkeeper like $1,000 a month for 2 years and my accounts aren't reconciled. I'm like, well, then what were you paying them to do? Because if they were not reconciling, they were not doing your bookkeeping. Craziness. And I don't charge that much for bookkeeping anyways. Reconciling is very important. If I cannot reconcile, that accounting software is not worth the money. And I say that in one of my podcast episodes about like the basics of accounting software, which I can tell you which podcast episode that is right now. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Accounting Software Basics is episode number 5 of my free podcast linked in my profile. It is one of the recommended podcast episodes inside the kit. So anybody can listen to the podcast, but inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, I've given you specific episodes that I want you to listen to while you're working through the course, okay? Because that is just gonna be, you know, when you're driving, you could be learning how to do bookkeeping while you're driving, okay? Free podcast. So episode number 5 is called Accounting Software Basics. That is what I have to have for an accounting software to be worth the money. If I cannot do those things, I'm not paying for it. And I like QuickBooks. I like the functionalities that I have access to as an accountant for my clients' bookkeeping. I like that I can log into their bookkeeping remotely and that I actually have access to additional bookkeeping tools in there, right? Thank you so much for the likes, Leah. How are you? Leah, you see the headband, babe? You gotta let me know what color you want. Thank you so much for the heart me. You gotta let me know which color you want, boo. I got a ton of yarn, so just tell me the color and we'll figure it out, and then I'll make you one. It has I'll even let you pick out the button, and then it has a cutie flower on it. But I thought it turned out so cute. Thank you. I think it looks cute with my earrings like dangling under it too. Okay. Anyways. What was I saying? The accountant's tools in QuickBooks Online are tools that only accountants have access to. You have to be enrolled as a QuickBooks Online accountant to get access to those tools. I'm not familiar with the other accounting softwares, but I like all of the features and functions that I have access to and that I actually use in QuickBooks Online. So there's forecasting and stuff that we can do in there. And this is going to be a lot more robust than just using like a spreadsheet, right? That's episode 35 of the podcast, is about whether to use an app versus when it's appropriate or okay to use a spreadsheet to keep track of your business money and numbers. Gonna reach my telephone. Okay, so friend, make sure you check out the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. For those of you that are stressed, anxious, overwhelmed with QuickBooks Online, I promise you, like, I know how to teach it to you in a way that is not going to make you feel like you're sitting at the kitchen table with the grown-up trying to teach you algebra, okay? I think everybody, I don't use the mobile app, friend. I have clients that will use the mobile app to like scan in receipts and stuff, but you don't need the mobile app to do that. You can scan a receipt with your phone and email it to your receipt email for QuickBooks. QuickBooks gives everybody, all their users, a receipt forwarding email. So you don't need the app to scan receipts. You can take a picture of your receipt and email it to QuickBooks and it will scan it in for you. The mobile app, I don't think it's really useful. Maybe if it were on like an iPad and you were out in the field, like for contractors, they can quickly, you know, run an estimate or send out invoices or collect payments. But for most people, I don't really see the point of the mobile app because the level of detail you need to put into your bookkeeping probably means you need to sit down on a computer and do it, okay? What was I saying? Crap. Y'all, I go off on 15 different tangents. Okay. What do I think the future of bookkeeping looks like? Just like this. I mean, I don't see it changing. I wrote an article on my LinkedIn. I wrote it like almost 10 years ago about how computers are not going to replace accountants and bookkeepers. If you are a human running a business, you're a human spending money, you're a human making money, that means that a computer cannot predict your behavior or changes in your behavior. The computer is not smarter than the people. So if the people are the ones doing the transacting, the people need to be the ones doing the bookkeeping, the categorizing of the transacting and everything. So the future of bookkeeping is not going to change much. They can add more automations if they want to. I'm not really like I'm a progressive person. I like to see whenever apps and stuff roll out like these new, hold on, I'm gonna pause the live for a second because I see that it's lagging, and I'll be right back. Thank you so much for the follow. Would you say so? Okay, so we're back. Let's see. It kind of started lagging for a second, so I just wanted to pause and restart it real quick. I don't think that bookkeeping in 10 years will look that much different from what it looks like now, to be honest. Even if you are getting more access to new automations and they upgrade their software and stuff, it still takes human input to set up those automations, to tell the computer what to do or what is the correct thing to do, right? So I don't see it being much different, because whenever I started doing bookkeeping 11 years ago, it wasn't much different than how we do it now, okay? Because bookkeeping is not an algorithm. Bookkeeping is a system where we transact money, we make money, we spend money, and then we record why that money came in. Like, what was the income for? We record what we spent the money on. What does this have to do with my business? How would I categorize this expense? Bookkeeping is a system that has been around way before computers were a thing, right? So any sort of automations or software that they come up with, it's still going to be doing bookkeeping the same way. That's what I teach you inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. This is a 3-step system. Step number 1 is getting your data into your bookkeeping system. In QuickBooks Online, that's, connecting your bank accounts and your credit cards. That is forwarding receipts in, scanning receipts in. That is creating invoices and sending them to your clients for payment. That is reconciling, reconciling is not data entry. But data entry is getting your information and putting it into your bookkeeping system. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is reconciling. Reconciling is where we take your bank statement and we compare it to your QuickBooks, and we say, do these numbers match? Is there something missing? Are the accounts matching with the balance, right? Making sure that every transaction that actually happened in real life and appears on your bank statement is recorded in QuickBooks. That's what reconciling is. We're comparing QuickBooks to your bank. Reconciling is step number 2. It is a necessary step. If you are not reconciling, you are not doing your bookkeeping, right? That's number 2. Step number 3 to your bookkeeping, in my humble opinion, is that you look at your financial reports. You actually read your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, and you say, what's going on in my business? How much money did I make? What were my expenses? What is my payroll cost? What's my overhead? How much am I spending on cost of goods? Should I or can I find another vendor that costs less to do business with, right? Reading your reports is very important. And a lot of people don't get past the data entry part. They get stuck on reconciling their books. That is why I go through how to reconcile pretty thoroughly inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. So the kit is a digital course, so it has videos that I filmed for you, right? AI did not make these videos. AI did not write this workbook. I wrote this, okay? I teach you how to reconcile. I'm very thorough in my trainings and in my classes and my courses on walking you through, this is exactly what you need to be doing, okay? A lot of people get stuck on the reconciling and they never even get to the point where they can read their reports. And so you're missing out on a lot of good information that we could sit with and we could analyze and we could say, all right, I want to do this in my business. What is it going to take for me to grow my revenue, or to how much would I have to pay to have this blah, 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 right? Reading your reports is also very important. That's pretty much the last step of bookkeeping, and then we just go through the cycle again. It's just a system. So, data entry, reconciling, that's where people get stuck. They get stuck on reconciling because QuickBooks Online can be a little hairy, especially the first time you reconcile, okay? I go through my 5 troubleshooting steps to reconcile in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. I show you how to do it. I show you what could possibly go wrong when you're reconciling, what to do when those things go wrong, right? So you have all the resources that you need when you're reconciling your books. Bookkeepers, if you are reconciling somebody else's books, this is going to walk you through how I troubleshoot reconciliation, okay? So that's step number 2. Once we can get you past reconciling, then we know your numbers are right. We know your account's in balance. And that is when we can actually look at your financial reports and look at your numbers, okay? That is step number 3 to bookkeeping. I go through each of these steps in here, but I also teach you how to set up a bookkeeping system. So if you're using QuickBooks Online, there's a lot going on in there, and you know that. I know y'all log into QuickBooks, get instantly overwhelmed and feel anxious, and then you log out and you're like, I'll just deal with this some other time. I don't have time for this. This is too much. This is too, I don't even know what this means. My numbers don't look right. This is a mess, and you log out. Okay, no more doing that. We are working on setting up our system so that when we look at it, when we log in, it makes sense to us. We know exactly where to go, what to do, how often we need to be doing it, right? No more frustration when it comes to QuickBooks Online. Thoughts on how project/products and service-based business are similar and different in bookkeeping? Yeah, so I actually give you, speaking of setting up your bookkeeping, the first thing that we go over when we set up your books is addressing your chart of accounts, okay? Product and service-based businesses are kind of doing things a little differently. I'm a service-based business. I also sell digital products, right? Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for joining in. I provide a service to people. I am training them. I'm consulting with them. I am teaching them how to do bookkeeping. I am teaching them how to use QuickBooks. I am doing their bookkeeping. I'm catching up their accounting because it is way behind, right? I am ongoing doing monthly bookkeeping for my clients so that they're caught up each month. I'm a service-based business. You can also purchase digital courses, so I kind of have a blend. But then there are like craft people that create crafts and sell them at the farmer's market or the craft market, right? That is a retail-based businesses. They're selling a product. Mainly. They don't really do services for people. If you're doing a commission, you're still selling a product. You just also charge for your time and expertise and all of that because someone has specifically asked you to make something, right? So in part number 1, we talk about the difference between the product and the service-based businesses. And then I teach you the 5 different types of accounts that in any bookkeeping system, not just QuickBooks. There are 5 different types of accounts. And for your service-based business, for your product-based retail business, I give you a sample chart of accounts for each of them. So you're going to go through this list and you're going to pick out the accounts that you definitely need. Some of them will be default accounts in your QuickBooks, so they'll already be set up. But otherwise, there's going to be things on here that maybe you don't need. There's going to be things that aren't on here that you would want to add to your chart of accounts. So we talk about the different types of accounts and how to get those set up. We always start with the chart of accounts when we're setting up a bookkeeping system, okay? So someone asked me on a live, which is why you see the writing here. Someone asked me if on the paper for the kit, if like highlighters or pens bleed through to the other side of the page. And as you can see, they do not. There is no bleed through. So it's pretty good quality paper. You can make notes in here, and I do suggest that you do that. You can highlight things. That's the first place that we start. We have to say, okay, am I service-based? Am I product-based? And get it set up if you're either one of those. So I give you the sample chart of accounts. Start there, okay? The next thing that we do is talk about connecting your bank accounts and credit cards in QuickBooks Online. This is where people get freaked out. They're like, Reagan, I connected my bank account and messed it up, and so I'm never doing that again. Fair enough. I can understand why you might be traumatized by connecting your bank and credit cards, and then your QuickBooks is crazy after that. I totally understand. However, There is a correct way to do it to make sure that you're not doubling transactions, so that you're not missing transactions, so that you're not setting up auto add rules. You're not telling QuickBooks, yeah, you can just go ahead and categorize things in my bookkeeping without me having to check on it. We don't do that around here, okay? When it comes to connecting your bank accounts and credit cards, I want you to use my system. That will make sure you're not doubling transactions, you're not missing transactions, and you're not allowing QuickBooks to just go willy-nilly with accepting transactions from your bank. Recommendations on how businesses adjust, like going from small to mid-market. I don't know what adjustments would need to be made in the bookkeeping if they're like scaling, you know. You could be more specific and I can answer that, but I don't really do coaching on like how to grow your business unless you're a bookkeeper. Like I can definitely teach you how to grow a business if you're a bookkeeper. But if my clients just like, you know, they're like going off, they're selling stuff, they're growing their revenue, they go from being small locally serving their community to e-commerce and stuff. I mean, the bookkeeping gets set up and done the same way. The only hairy thing is if you add employees, right? If you add people on payroll, there's a lot more compliance that goes into that. If you hire people and you pay them paychecks and you withhold taxes, there's a lot more compliance that goes into payroll. So we need to make sure that that gets set up properly for sure. But you don't have to, you can still be a small business and have employees on payroll. The double transactions go haywire if you aren't careful. Exactly. And then you have to hire somebody like me to sit there and go one by one and clean them all up. And that's not fun for y'all, which is why you hire me to do it. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's fun for me, but I don't mind, you know? I meant with growing with payroll employees, yeah. So, you know, getting that payroll tight from the very beginning, staying compliant right from the very beginning. I have made the mistake with clients in the past, you know, not doing their 941 payments every time they run payroll, and then at the end of the month I'm like, hey, you owe like, you know, this much money, and they're like, I can't pay that. I'm like, cool. So if you have QuickBooks Online payroll, go ahead and turn on those auto taxes. Okay, it doesn't have to be auto payroll. You can still put in employee hours and salaries and stuff, but go ahead and have QuickBooks take all of the payroll taxes out of your account when you run payroll. That's just going to make your life so much easier. Sorry, I had a popcorn kernel on my teeth. I had some popcorn earlier. Do you use expense approvals in QuickBooks? I don't. I'm the only person transacting and I don't have any clients that do it either. I guess if you did like if you had employees that wanted to get reimbursed for stuff, you could set up that system, but I know they have that option, but it's like in QuickBooks Online Advanced, I want to say, and none of my clients want to pay over $200 a month for QuickBooks Advanced. So, questions about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. After we get our bank accounts set up and we get those connected, the next step for the setup, just like Caroline was talking about your income streams. Okay, not your products and services, but your revenue streams, your revenue categories. You can have as many products and services as you like. As somebody that has a bunch of different services on offer, got it going on, but I keep my revenue categories simple. I want y'all to stick to 3 revenue streams. No more than that. You can put your different products and services into those revenue categories, but I want you to keep it to 3. Okay? And then we got to know, all right, where do we sell those products and services? Where do people pay us? Where do I have to log in? What kind of sales report do I need to pull? And so we need to write down that information here. This is an essential part of setting up your QuickBooks, dealing with your chart of accounts, connecting those bank accounts and credit cards, and then talking about your products, services, and how they map to your revenue categories. Okay, so that is pretty much going to cover the setup of QuickBooks Online. In part 1 of the kit, in that video, I walk through each of these steps with you, and then you have the exercises in the workbook to do it in your own QuickBooks Online. I also show you like how to bookmark the tabs that you need to be using and collapse so that you're not looking at the tabs that you're never going to touch. QuickBooks is very stressful for a lot of y'all. I know that because you come to me freaking out, you know, really frustrated, really anxious, really stressed. So I've devised a way to help y'all out with staying less stimulated. When you log into QuickBooks Online and you're seeing all those numbers and words and shit that you don't know what it means, you're probably just going to log out. The first thing that we do is set up your bookmarks bar in the order of your bookkeeping process so that when you log in, you only see what you need to be doing in there and you see what order you're doing it in. Okay? We're making it really, really simple for ourselves. The reason you avoid it is because it's overstimulating, it's overwhelming, and then you end up just logging out. What are the difference, but cost of goods sold versus expenses? Like, is cost of goods just a subset of expenses? It is not a subset of expenses, and I go over the different types of accounts in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, so definitely check that out. We go over the different types of accounts. Expenses are a type of account. Cost of goods is actually going to go up at the top of your P&L under your income and revenue, okay? Because cost of goods affects your gross profit before all of your expenses come out. So I walk you through the different types of expenses inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. Like, I'm teaching you a lot about accounting in here, as well as how to set up that bookkeeping system, how to do bookkeeping, and how to stay consistent with it. Once we have that system set up, y'all are going to not avoid it anymore, right? Like, it's gonna be easier, simpler, maybe even enjoyable. Maybe you'll get around to enjoying it. I do have people that get on trainings with me, and once I teach them how to set up bank rules and categorize their transactions correctly, they get a little addicted to it, okay? Let me tell you about the dopamine hit that you get when you clear out all your bank transactions. Yeah, it's a little addictive. So bookkeeping doesn't have to be stressful, anxiety-inducing, overwhelming. It could be a little, I kind of like logging into QuickBooks. That experience, that's possible. Ask me how I know. Not just for myself, but for my clients that I train on QuickBooks Online. Okay? So, all of my best tips, resources, procedures, secrets, automations, things that I do when I'm working on someone's bookkeeping, it's inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. I put it all in here. Okay, this is over a decade of my bookkeeping experience, doing it and training other people how to do it. Not everybody that does bookkeeping can teach you how to do bookkeeping. No, 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 no. I do have the skill of being a good instructor, if I do say so myself. A lot of my clients say that too, okay? The ones that I hear back from. Everybody has given me great reviews, and I don't really get negative feedback, because if somebody has a question, I respond to them, number one. And then number two, I don't treat them like they're stupid for asking a question. I make sure that we answer their question completely, that they are leaving the appointment with me, they are completing the course, understanding how to do what they came there to do, okay? I don't leave my clients in overwhelm and confusion. There's a lot of hand-holding, there's a lot of kind support that you get. Even if you purchase a digital course that is pre-recorded, I made it for you, right? You get the access to the community for 30 days for free, so that you can ask questions, you can watch additional tutorials and resources that I put out every single month for y'all. So that is all included with the kit. It is not just, here you go, have fun, talk to you never. Like, that's not how it works. I don't want anybody to walk away from either a training with me or to go through a course and leave with more questions than they came. It's okay to be a little confused at the beginning. Like, there's nothing wrong if you don't understand something the first time around, but we're gonna make sure that we close that knowledge gap. Okay, we're gonna make sure that you leave with a new skill that you've developed, that you can use on your own books, that you can use to build your own business, right? Are there automations you use in QuickBooks versus ones you don't recommend outside of it? I'm not sure I understand the question. Automations you use in QuickBooks versus ones you don't recommend outside of it. I'm not really sure I understand the question. Sorry. All the automations that I use in QuickBooks Online, like I said, I teach you inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. I teach you how to do data entry for all different types of businesses. If you are a service-based business, you have an e-commerce store, you are a craft seller going to the farmer's market every week, I teach you how to get all of your shit under control, because some of y'all be doing the most, okay? And there's never been a set of books, there's never been a business that I couldn't figure out the bookkeeping for. Brag, humble brag. Hi Judy, welcome in. Judy, my new friend. Judy, have you purchased the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit yet, friend? Because that's what we're talking about today. And if you have questions about it, I'm here to talk about it. Thank you so much for getting your daily heart me. Yes! Also, y'all, I'm going to be doing some subscriber-only videos soon about content creation. So my friends that want to build a bookkeeping business, and Judy, I'm mentioning this because I believe you did comment that at some point, but building a bookkeeping business, like, this is where I teach you the bookkeeping. I do the bookkeeping monthly for my clients. Thank you so much for the popular votes. E.T. Living, thank you so much for the popular votes, Judy. I do monthly bookkeeping services. Thank you, Mariana, for liking the live. Monthly bookkeeping is something, well, I've been doing that for many years. I've done trainings. It's only until recently that I have been creating digital courses. But I do it all, my friend. I do it all. In fact, today is sales tax day, and I just remembered I have set up, do bookkeeping, like data entry, reconciling, looking at reports together. I do the whole walkthrough so that you watch me do all of that. It is a pre-recorded course. It comes with this workbook that has the exercises that you go through to set up your books. Like connecting your bank accounts. I am an accountant. I'm a bookkeeper. Bookkeepers are like a subset of accountants. Accountants is like a very broad term that includes CPAs, tax preparers, bookkeepers, corporate accountants, blah, 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 right? So yes, I am a bookkeeper. I have a preparer tax ID number, so technically I am a tax preparer. However, I do not do business or individual returns. I do payroll tax returns for my clients who have payroll. So hopefully that answers your questions, but the majority, the bulk of my work is doing bookkeeping for other people, training other people how to do bookkeeping, you know, consulting with them on their books, on their QuickBooks. But technically I am an accountant, and specifically I am a bookkeeper. Hi Antonio, thank you so much for joining in. Y'all, make sure that you are grabbing your daily heart me, okay? I haven't mentioned it yet on this live. Coach Ray better not come for me. But you need to be grabbing your daily heart me right up here at the top where my hand is. Next to my name, you're going to click that orange heart and send your daily heart me in. That's going to get you 45 engagement points with TikTok. We love engagement points. How many hours a day on average do you work on each account? Is it 40-hour work week? So being self-employed means that I create my own schedule. Mondays are my admin days. I don't do client work on Mondays, with the exception of today because it is a sales tax deadline. Today I also took a personal day off. I just do my TikTok lives every weekday, and I'm like, I can do a TikTok live. As far as working on client accounts, it only takes me a couple of hours a month to do someone's books. So that is, you know, entering all the data, reconciling, reviewing, and creating a reports package for them. So I do not work 40 hours a week. Less than that. And that's by design. I don't want to work 40 hours a week. And I do not charge an hourly rate for that very reason. Because if I did, I would make no money. I charge based on the fact that I have been doing this for 11 years. And it is a great life over here. No, I am having a really good time being self-employed. I was made for this. I don't want to work for anybody else ever again. I also love that I could just pick up my laptop and go somewhere and work, but I also love being self-employed from home. It's the greatest. I sit here with no pants on most of the time. Yes, I want to work for myself, period. It's the shit. It is the shit. I thought for a long time that I was like, oh, I would never want to run my own business. It's too much. It is difficult in a different way than being an employee for somebody else is difficult. So it's kind of like choose your hard. Building a business is very hard for a lot of people because they lack support and community and accountability. One of the things that I do with my business is creating that community. So if you've not already set up your free account in the community, make sure you're doing that. Free account in my community. Click on my picture and then click over to my profile. Go to my link tree and set up your free account in the community. I want, as far as the accounting and the bookkeeping and the finances of it all goes, that you all have community with me and that you don't ever have a question about your money. And if you do, it gets answered. Okay? There's a lot of really amazing people in there, all of whom are my clients in some form or fashion. They've either taken a training with me, they are one of my bookkeeping clients, they bought one of my digital courses. There's also just the community subscription for $7 a month that gets you access to all the community perks. But building a business is very hard. It is a challenge. It is something that requires that you have community with other business owners, that you have other people who get it, who know what it's like to be self-employed, okay? And that means that whenever things are happening in your business that are overwhelming and stressful in a different way from shit happening at work when you're an employee, do you have people to go to and to, you know, maybe vent a little to, or who can provide you with that kindness and that support and like uplift you and just be there to like hold space for you. So as far as the money and as far as the finances go, I got you, but we talk about all sorts of things in there. We talk about marketing. I'm going to be posting videos soon on here that will be subscriber videos only, meaning that you have to subscribe to my TikTok page. which I think there should be a button down here for you to click and subscribe. But I'm going to be posting videos about how I make content, about how I edit videos, about my kind of content. Oop, I'm going to have to do a puzzle, I think. It's a lonely puzzle. Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? What was I saying? We talk about all sorts of things over there. For my subscribers here on TikTok, I will be posting videos about my content creation schedule, creating content, like how to film B-roll, how to film videos so that you don't look crazy. Even though most of my videos look very unprofessional. It's fine. They're effective because they bring business to my page. Which link on my link tree is digital content with the videos? That is the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, friend. It is under the shop. So when you go to my link tree, it'll be at the very top. It'll say my shop. And then this is the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. This is where I want you to start for learning how to do bookkeeping. Okay. You will get lifetime access to the course with the videos. I will ship you the spiral bound workbook. We love a spiral bound workbook in this house. Okay. So this is coming to you. You'll also get the 30-day trial inside the community. So Judy, that is the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. You have to click over to the shop in my link tree. Yes. Like me. Don't you wish your girlfriend was fun like me? Don't you? Don't you? So, questions about the kit. Questions about my offers. Questions about the community. Let me know. Because I do need to go feed my animals. If you can't hear, my cat is losing her mind. She's very upset because I've not fed her. And it's 10 minutes past her dinner time. How dare I? So I will be jumping off of here very shortly, but I wanted to make sure if you had questions that I hung out, be sure to hit the follow button if you haven't already, and check out the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. It is linked in my shop, in my bio, and you get instant access to the course, plus the workbook, which I'm holding right here. This is a spiral bound workbook with the exercises to walk you through setting up QuickBooks, learning how to use it. You can use this for your own business setup. You can use it to set up your bookkeeping clients' bookkeeping. This is literally the exact process that I go to. I teach you how to do bookkeeping the way I do bookkeeping, right? Because it is tried and true. It is simple. Somebody earlier was asking, like, what's the future of bookkeeping look like? And I'm like, it looks the same. Bookkeeping has been around. It's been that girl. But it's been around since before computers, since before QuickBooks, right? And since before calculators. There has been some sort of ledger accounting system, okay? So it's just an app. It's just a software. You can learn how to do bookkeeping as a skill, and you can learn how to do it in QuickBooks Online. Okay, you've learned how to use other apps. You learned how to use this app that you're on. Okay. So, thank you all so much for watching today. If you have questions, feel free to DM me or leave me a comment on one of my videos. But make sure you are setting up your free account in the community, okay? That is linked to my profile. Set up your free account. It's free. You put in your email address, you create your password, and then you're in the free account. You are in the free community tier, which there's like tons of videos and resources and chats and stuff in there. Hi, Family Island. Welcome. How are you today, friend? You're catching me at the very end of my life, so I'm about to jump off of here. But I wanted to say hi. Check out the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit and set up your free account in the community. Hi, Soulfully Adventurous. Angela, welcome in. Thank you for sending the heart me, friend. Woo! We love when folks get their heart me. Oh, thank you so much for the popular vote. You're so sweet. Thank you. Y'all, I gotta go feed these kitties. eat me alive if I don't feed these kitties. Look, they're coming in here right now. They're like, you better feed us, woman. We're so hungry. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna jump off here, but thank you so much for joining me in my live today. Business owners, set up your free account in my community. Yes, they're like, get over here and feed us our food. Grab your points before you leave. Get those engagement points, just like Angela did. And friends, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing well. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you here. We'll be back live tomorrow. Not really at any specific time. Just check in on me. Check in and see where we're at, okay? It's gonna be well after I'm done with therapy though, because therapy is always a fucking bitch on Tuesday mornings. All right, friends. Have a happy Monday evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Say my name when no one is